That's 10 grand in 4 months. No, it's not even 4 months. It's like 3.5 months. 3.5 months. I don't know, I'll take 10 grand over that amount of time, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Done. Let me ask you, John. Obviously, you're saying you're still very involved with your gym. How many hours a week would you say you do work on this side business?
So all in all, it it's probably like 7 hours a week. So like an hour a day. But once they're built, the SEO stuff, it's just so fast. The Google profile stuff is so fast.
All right. Okay, everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Derek with Remote Business Academy, and I am here with John. John, go ahead and introduce yourself for us, if you will, and tell us where you're from.
My name is John Kader. I live in South Florida now. I'm not from here. I've been here about half my life. I'm from New England, so I grew up in New Hampshire and then lived about 10 years in Boston and then came here when I was like 20, mid 20s, late 20s. I have been an entrepreneur since for the last 25 years, so about half my life. Um, and I can't even imagine working for somebody. Like I just don't, I can't go backwards and I don't even know how that would look. I own a CrossFit gym. I've owned a CrossFit gym now for almost 15 years and still run it every day, still coach every day, but started looking at a different trade. I was wanted something new, more challenges, more freedom, and didn't know if I could really pick up on this stuff, being how I'm not the youngest guy in the group, and and the training was incredible. I think, when I started, there was a few people that I always see on the leaderboard that started like either right before me or right with me. And it was kind of cool to see us all kind of like learn together. So the community and the support has been fantastic. So, and then that brings us to today. So you're probably going to ask me about, what I've been doing over the past. I really got into this in May. I started in May. I maybe signed up in April, but I want to say May of 2024, and now we're in November. So not really a long time. It seems like forever. It seems like have been doing this forever just because of the amount of knowledge I have in less than 6 months. I mean, I'm making a couple grand a month just by just bringing in these small, little $9,950 a month campaigns for the optimization in the Google profile. That's not including the web builds or the rentals. So
Yeah.
if you put a little bit more time in it, yeah, it works.
That's awesome. No, yeah, and that's probably my favorite thing about exactly what we teach is there are so many different skills that are individually monetizable, right?
For those that are going to watch this, year to date, it's probably like, you know, 10 grand. And that doesn't include the first 2 months. That's 10 grand in 4 months. No, it's not even 4 months. It's like 3.5 months. 3.5 months. I don't know, I'll take 10 grand over that amount of time, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's majority of people, that's what they're looking for, right? Is an extra 2 to 3 grand a month, right? Ultimately, that especially nowadays, right, alleviates so much pressure and stress and
Yeah.
financially at least. And so yeah, and like you said, it can be done. Let me ask you, John, obviously you're saying you're still very involved with your gym. How many hours a week would you say you do work on this side business?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that. So we, it's funny, it's a good question. We get, we get warned in training. Zach Coder warns us, don't get bogged down with the details, right? Like any picture is better than no picture. Like don't spend, 2 hours building a logo. Well, I'm guilty of spending way too much time getting everything correct because that's just me. Um, I've definitely gotten much, much faster. So if I had to add up the hours per week, I spend most of my time doing it Thursday and Friday evenings for a few hours. And then I'll jump on the computer like right now in the middle of the day a couple times a week. So all in all, it it's probably like 7 hours a week. So like an hour a day,
Yeah.
right? Like and I remember when I went through my first like interview with you guys and you guys are like, how much time can you commit to this? And I'm like, oh, a couple hours a day. And you guys were like, a couple hours a day, you're gonna kill it. And that made no sense to me at the time. It made no sense to me at the time because I spend, 50 hours a week at the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. But yeah, there is a way. I mean, because you get so fast at it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the builds take time, but once they're built, the SEO stuff, it's just so fast. The Google profile stuff is so fast. And being able to just take stock pictures and, code them and water tag them and make it, see the actual GBPs move up for people. That's cool, and I'm actually working with a girl. She's a physical therapist, mostly to my clients. And, she was skeptical. She's like, and then she hired me, and within 2 weeks, her spot started to move. And so I probably still spend a little bit too much time on the details. But that's just my style.
Yeah.
I think I could probably get away with even less time.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, John, thank you so much. I guess my last question for you would be um a major concern for a lot of people, right, is talking to contractors and other business owners, right? They have that kind of sense of fear of they don't want to be a salesman, right? They don't want to feel salesy. How would you describe those conversations with, business owners and people that you have, obviously landed deals with and done work for? How has that gone? Do you feel like you're having to sell them like crazy? Kind of what's that process like?
For those of you that are nervous about, selling, you have to look at it this way. If if your cousin owned a roofing company and you're like, hey buddy, hey bro, I got my neighbor needs a roof. It's probably a $30,000 roof. Can you help him out? Yeah. Well, let's say you gave him two roofs. Wouldn't you deserve some kind of kickback? And I know that's like a slang term in the finance world, but if you're going to give people revenue, a founder's fee or whatever you want to call it is warrantable. And I think if you look at it like I have something for you, I want nothing in return until we can show you that this works. No one's ever going to say no to business.
Yeah.
And if you remember that first and foremost, and I know it's taught in the training, but no students really talk about it. If you remember that, hey, I'm giving you something of value, I want nothing in return until I show you that I can give you more in value. It's just going to happen. If that person walks away from you, then you have to let them walk away from you when you go to the next person, because eventually, I always say this, and it's kind of easy being an entrepreneur, right? I said, and I explained this to my friend. I go, if someone called me today and said, I'm going to bring you a person interested in signing up in your gym tonight, just take care of them. I want nothing. And they showed up, and whether they signed up or not, as long as I knew they were local and had some, desire to do exercise, whether or not they signed up, that's a good lead. Well,
Yeah.
let's say in 2 more days, he sent me another person. Let's say he signs up. I'd be like, what is he doing to get me more people? I would call him and say, what are you doing and what do you want for it? No questions asked. I would be the easiest guy to sell, right? The best salesmen are the easiest guys to sell because we can appreciate the art.
Yeah.
And if he kept sending me members, I'd basically give him whatever he wants. You're capturing hot leads and you're handing them over to somebody, don't be afraid to ask for something. You prove the concept, and then they should be giving you money. Just prove the concept.
Yeah, exactly. I had a member just yesterday explain it to me like this, which I was like, this is a great analogy. I need to use this more. Um, he said customers to a business owner are like crack, right? And he
Yeah.
says if you give a guy crack for free, well, guess what? He once he's hooked, he's gonna come back to you and start buying, right? Which is just like these business owners that we say, exactly like you illustrated. Hey, here's a hot lead, right? Go and you have every chance to make money on this person that needs the exact service that you offer. Here he is. Just see how it goes, right? And then when we come back and say, hey, here's another one of those, you're right. More often than not, that business owner is going, how is this happening? Like, what are you doing? What have you figured out that I haven't, right? And what can I pay you to keep this going on? So, um,
And I had people in the group message me and ask me to sell for them. And first I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. But then after like looking at their websites and seeing them so active in the group, I'm like, I don't think you want me to do this for you. And they're like, why can't you do it for me? And I explained that it's not really sales. Like you have a great website, run an ad, and then if you're frustrated or whatever, then let me know and I'll take over. But what's going to happen in that scenario is, let's say that worked, right? Let's say that I took over all the calls and I found a contractor and we closed him. Well, there's no value for, why keep me around? Like we've done a deal, right? Like what can I do for you now? Nothing. Like it's done. We got to move on. You got to build another site and I'll do it again. So I actually spent some time on the phone with a couple of students and taught them that, you know, just try it. Just try it yourself because this relationship that we're going to have, like me being the sales guy, it's over as soon as we close the guy. Let's just try and get you to close the guy, and it worked for them. They were just afraid of that first, initial hurdle of basically it's really phase three into like actually giving someone the lead, like
yeah.
what do you ask and how do I, what questions do I ask? And I just find that after you do it once, in a certain niche, you got it,
Yeah.
so that's all.
That's awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for your time. I won't keep you any longer. But yeah, and I love what you mentioned there too of just kind of showing how much collaboration goes on within our community as well. Of you're taking calls with other members that are like, hey, I might be newer. I
Yeah.
see that you're having success with these type of things. Can I get some advice? And there's a ton of that within our community of members helping other members as well as obviously have access to myself and Dakota and the rest of our team. And so yeah, just want this to be clear to anybody watching that you're never alone in this process, right? Like we've got your back, John's got your back, other members that have gone before you have your back. So that's another reason why I just love the community that we have and the members in it that just make it an awesome place. So thank you so much, John. I'll go ahead and end this recording here. Thanks.
Yeah, man.